Hi, my name is Martin Smith, and I'm here to go over the difference between superdeterminism, statistics, and what we sometimes refer to as free will. Now, most people just split it up into superdeterminism versus free will. Now, Sabine Hossenfelder did a good video on this. She produced a paper with someone else, and then she produced a paper by herself. The one by herself is a spectacular overview of superdeterminism. She is a physicist, and she pretty much makes fun of philosophers who dabble in physics. And I'm going to change one of her quotes around and read it with some changes. And this is what happens if you leave physicists to discuss philosophy. So it goes both ways. To start off, I need to start off with a disclaimer. This is an argument. I'm making an argument. I am not going to hold on it being true. My beliefs on it could be different tomorrow. So I have no real skin in this one, so to speak. Okay, starting out with superdeterminism, this is basically the best way I can describe superdeterminism is shuffle a deck of cards and lay them on the table. You don't know what the next card is, you don't know what the one after that's going to be. However, those cards are predetermined. If we look at the universe in that way, in that form, every single molecule, every single atom, every nuclear decay, those are all predetermined. They happen because something else came into effect. Everything that we think, our brains work a certain way. The first thing I remember seeing superdeterminism being stated was in a movie known as The Matrix, where they were talking about you have already made the decision. It's not the decision you have to make. What you have to do is accept your decision. And this is another way of stating that there are no alternate universes. That saying is, okay, we have a choice. If we truly have a choice, if it's our choice, then the choices we make, what happens if we went back in time and made the other choice? That would create another universe. That would create a separate set of actions. Say we dealt from the bottom of the deck versus dealt from the top. You get different cards. And in superdeterminism, you don't get to do that. The deck's on the table, you can only draw from the top. And this is one of the things Sabine Hossenfelder went over on this paper that she did not go over anywhere else, and that is time displacement with superdeterminism. Now, Einstein came up with the term spooky action at distance. That means we see an event and light travels at a certain speed, and we see another event that was almost a direct correlation, it was a direct correlation of the first event we saw. Now, let's say we saw that one first, and then we go back in time and see this one and say there was a direct correlation between those two events. Now, in superdeterminism, that spooky action at distance doesn't happen. And again, my argument on this is that both of these are true. Superdeterminism and free will are both true. So, in this spooky action at a distance, what's happening? We are confusing our coordinate system. That means that an action starts here, our time is crossing here, but yet this action comes down this direction. So that, like waves on an ocean, there'll be, say, just one wave. The superdeterminism is about when you take a measurement. It's a true statement saying that everything is planned out, everything is going to happen the way it's going to happen, and no decision we make is going to change the events that have already been set into place. That is the main foundation of superdeterminism, and these are the reasons why I feel that that is correct. Now, going over to statistics, even in mathematics or physics, we have the wave equations, and those are saying we know all the variables. And that's one of the aspects of physics, is knowing all the variables that you're starting out with a problem. Even random variables, we know all the boundaries of those random variables. The wave equations that we deal quite a bit in physics, it's stating that we have a set package of variables. And we know those variables. We're not going to say which one it is, which one it isn't. We're just calling it a set package of variables. So within that, we know everything that there is to know. We know all the data that's going into the structure. We can calculate everything coming out of the structure. And if the math is done right, we always get the same answer. In statistics, that's not true. And this is where philosophy has been butchered by physics. In philosophy, I think, therefore I am, is where we start. If we want something, we know what we want. There's no question about that. Now, we can say, oh, I know myself, I know what kind of decision I'll make. That may be true, that may not be true. I mean, there's a lot of times we think we know what we're going to do, events come in place, and all of a sudden we don't do it. And now that we're getting into philosophy, there's one main aspect to philosophy that physicists do not get, and that is we can't know everything. Superdeterminism's main flaw is that it requires that we know everything. And this is the great divide between the two. And yet, this is the reason I'm saying they are both correct. Both superdeterminism and free will depends on which side of the fence you are on. If you know all the data, then superdeterminism applies. If you do not know all the data, that means you do not know what's coming at you for what decision that you know you're going to make, then you don't know if you're going to make that decision or not. Therefore, it's free will. Will I make that decision or won't I make that decision? So on one side of the fence, we know everything. We are gods. There's nothing we don't know. There's nothing we can't calculate, and all outcomes will come out perfectly. This is superdeterminism. If you are looking at it from a philosophical point of view, this is lunacy. The other side of the fence is we can make any decision we want. The whole world revolves around what decisions we make. Now, if you go to physics and the study of nature, again, this is lunacy. So, both sides of the fence, both true, both false, and it all comes down to, do you know everything? Are you a god? If you are a god, then everything is determined. If you are not a god, then we appear to have free will. And that appearance becomes truth. Now we got really deep into philosophy. And I'll let you think about that one, and I'll see you on another video.